when your child is injured by negligence. Michael Wales fights for justice. The child injury attorney.
Hi, I'm Mike Wales. I'm also known as the child injury attorney. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about the steps you might take if your child is injured. First and foremost, you need to get the appropriate medical attention for that child immediately. And as soon as you can, you want to reach out to an attorney that's experienced and understands the impact of an injury to a child. So when someone comes in my office, we spend a lot of time listening, understanding what happens, gathering facts, and probably most importantly, educating the family as to the next steps, what experts might be necessary, and how we can help on a contingency basis in addressing the financial, emotional, and medical impacts of that child's injury. Of course, auto accidents. A child might be a pedestrian, be on his or her bicycle, or very frequently we get accidents, car versus e-bike. That's a very frequent type of injury that comes into our office. We also see dog bites where children have been bitten by a neighborhood dog. We see defective products, injuries to children from a defective toy or a ride at a pizza establishment, some type of accident like that. Sometimes we'll see schoolyard or daycare negligence that causes an injury to a child. These are the most frequent types of injuries that come in to our office. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's involved in bringing a child injury case. Of course, the first step is to gather facts, and we investigate every little detail. If it's a products liability case, we need to know who the manufacturer is, who the seller is, who the distributor is, who maintains a certain type of ride, for example. If it's a dog bite case, we need to investigate how and when it occurred, who the owner is. If it's an auto accident, we need to investigate whether the police were involved, what the intersection is like. We're out there taking photographs, determining every little fact, what the visibility was, what the time of day was, etc. So for all of the different types of child injuries, first step is a very thorough and fact-oriented investigation. Of course, the second important component is making sure the child gets adequate medical attention. We have several doctors, physicians on call that can treat on a lien, so the parent does not have to shell out money for visits, for co-insurance, things like that. And we get reports from all these physicians, not just regarding the injury and treatment, but for the future medical needs of the child. For example, I had a child that his retina was detached when he was shot with a hard candy in the eye, and determining whether he would need more retina attachment surgeries was very critical to determining the value of the case. So we often use pediatric specialists medical professionals in building the facts of the case. We also use accident reconstructionists. If there are skid marks, we can figure out the coefficient of friction of the road surface, determine the speed of the offending vehicle. We determine the light situation, the traffic light cycles, everything. We are very thorough. So we've investigated the facts, we've determined the medical current day concerns and future concerns, and then we also spend a lot of time understanding the dynamics of the child's injury as it relates to the family, his relationship or her relationship with his or her siblings, parents, school, sports, and we often use psychologists, experts in pediatric care for that type of investigation. We negotiate with the insurance companies. That's the next step, to get all these facts together to give the insurance adjuster what he or she needs to justify a settlement. And then finally, every once in a while, although it's rare, we have to take the case to trial and show the jury why it's necessary to give the compensation to the child and family that we represent. Those are basic steps that we go through. Along the way, it is our mission to make sure that the family understands every step that's being taken and what future steps are coming up and why we are taking those actions. I find it very rewarding to give finality to the family and the injured child. And that usually involves, obviously, negotiations with the insurance company, typically mediation with a professional mediator, and arriving at a settlement. That settlement needs to address both current medical damages as well as future medical care for the child. And we typically will put that settlement in either a structured annuity or a blocked account for the benefit of the child. A structured annuity typically allows a parent to invade the principal only if medical needs arise. And the money is then distributed to the child depending on the structure at age 18, 21, 25, 27, and the like over time in different amounts. And that is because you typically don't want to give an 18-year-old a large sum. And that annuity then can be used for the child's college education, perhaps even to buy a house down the road. So the way we structure an annuity for a settlement is very, very important, and the parents find that to be extremely rewarding and satisfying that their child's future is now taken care of, regardless of the injury. These cases are not only about compensation for the child and the family, they're also about closure for the family. They're also about helping the family find and understand the long-term effects of the injury on the child. The dynamics here are very much about helping the family get through the trauma. When a child gets hurt, it touches me personally. The impact on the family, on the child, the financial ramifications, the medical ramifications, I take that all into account. I am a former police officer. It was many years ago, but I spent 8 years with the Houston Police Department investigating accidents, injuries. I actually was an accident investigator for a time. I was a field training officer, so I am very well versed in investigating cases, carefully documenting facts when it comes to any sort of injury or accident. I'm a former judge. I was a judge for many years in Arizona and really got a good understanding of how lawyers present their case to a trial or to a jury, good understanding how a jury reacts to different types of evidence, as well as the arguments made by counsel, both factual and emotional. So I really got a good understanding from the back end of a trial as a judge. And of course, I've been a trial lawyer for many years. So those cases that do end up having to go to a jury, I'm very well versed in presenting a case on behalf of an injured child. I also deal with insurance companies constantly in these cases. And I'm very good with negotiating with the insurance companies, presenting the facts, presenting the arguments, and giving the adjuster what that insurance adjuster needs to justify a settlement. And finally, I work with financial professionals to set up structured annuities and other vehicles to take care of a child's long-term financial needs after a settlement. When the parents come to see me, I want to give them hope that there will be justice and the child's injuries will be properly compensated and that any current medical expenses will be taken care of and any future medical needs and medical expenses will be taken care of. I want to make sure that that child and that family gets the compensation for the injury that they deserve. If you've enjoyed our discussion today, please subscribe, like, and visit our website for more information, thechildinjuryattorney.com. There will be more information to come, so I hope to see you in the future.